Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. Noha Polak for Progressive Pediatrics in Union City and Bayonne, New Jersey, here to give you an update, some more insights with your MD. So today is August 28th, 2020. We are still in the pandemic of 2020 with COVID. So the good news is things are going well in New Jersey. Our positivity rate is still about 1.3%. So only 1.3% of the COVID tests that are being done in New Jersey are positive. And that's a great improvement from where we were in April and May. And it's also great because it's less than 3%, which is our goal, to stay at less than 3%. So I'm really happy and proud of our community for keeping our masks on and staying away from crowds and just being sensible. Hopefully this continues moving forward. What have we seen in our practice this week? A lot of patients and parents are calling us this week saying, my child has a runny nose and they're sneezing. Should I have a COVID test? I'm worried. So that's what I'd like to address today. So basically, a runny nose and sneezing usually signifies allergies, especially if they're not associated with other symptoms. They can also signify a common cold or any other symptoms. So if your child only has a runny nose and sneezing, that's only one issue, only in the nose. That does not mean that your child has COVID, nor does it mean that your child should be tested for COVID. So let's talk about how we are recommending tests in our practice. So if your child has been exposed to someone who actually has COVID, a confirmed case, then absolutely you or your child should be tested if you've been exposed to this person for at least 15 minutes at a time. So if that's the case, we are going to recommend that your child get tested for COVID, and that test will most likely be a nasal swab, a swab in the nose, to take care of getting those answers to you. If your child has not been exposed to anyone who has a positive COVID test, but they've been in the community, so they've been in playgrounds, or they've been to the public pool, or they've been around a lot of people, but not necessarily in crowds, and your child only has a runny nose and sneezing, again, that does not mean that they have COVID, but if they have two or more symptoms. So the COVID symptoms are cough, fever, shortness of breath, body aches, sore throat, loss of taste or smell, diarrhea, and headaches. Those are the most common ones, especially in children. So if your child only has a sore throat, it does not necessarily mean that they have COVID. So if you call me and say, my child has a fever and a sore throat, I'm going to say to you, oh, those are two symptoms. Where's your child been? If your child's been out and about in the community, I'm going to say, please come in. I'd like to see your child and look at their throat. If they meet the criteria for getting the throat test done for strep, we will do a strep test. And if the strep test is positive, that means your child has strep throat, not COVID. We will not recommend a COVID test. However, if your child has two or more symptoms and you come in and they've been in our community and they don't have strep throat, or they don't have another reason for them to be sick, then we would recommend a COVID test and we would guide you as to where to get it done, etc. So the bottom line is this: if your child has a simple runny nose and they're otherwise healthy, happy, eating, running around, don't panic, please. If you need guidance, call us, okay? We can certainly guide you through it. And we can also do a televisit to guide you through it. However, if your child has two or more symptoms and your child is not feeling well, especially if they're weak or tired, or if they have a rash or a fever, absolutely let us know. We will see your child and we will help you figure out if there is another diagnosis to explain these symptoms. And we have seen kids in our community with common colds. We've seen kids with Coxsackie. We've seen kids with strep throat. We've seen kids with all kinds of other reasons besides COVID to have symptoms. So let us help you figure it out. We'll go through all the symptoms, and if a test is needed, we will help you find the test. So that's really my message for today. And I still want to stress how important it is for you not to panic. We're there to help answer your questions. So you can call us, we'll do a televisit, we'll go through all the symptoms, and then we can have you come in and see us at the office. We're seeing sick children at a different time from well children, so they're not coming in at the same time. They also don't go into similar rooms. So we have rooms that are designated only for well children and those who are designated only for sick children. And we never intermix those two. We work only by appointment, of course, because we don't want anyone walking into our office, and we will at all costs avoid crowds. We're not using our waiting rooms. So please let us help you. So I think what I'd like to leave you with are two important messages. Number one, you're not alone in this, and it is going to at some point end. All right, we're getting closer and closer to treatments and vaccines. Don't get sad about this because it will end at some point. No one can tell you when it will end, but I am confident that this is not forever for the rest of our lives. Yes, we will make permanent changes in how we practice, but that does not necessarily mean we're going to always be in this level of stress or anxiety. And number two, I'd also like you to know that even if your child does get exposed to COVID or even get COVID, the likelihood of them getting very, very sick is super low. Do not panic about it. So out of all of the adults that get COVID, out of 165 adults per 100,000 get hospitalized. 165 per 100,000 adults, but in children it's only 8 per 100,000, much, much less. So I want to ramp down the whole thought process of if my child gets COVID, then it's going to be horrible. If your child gets COVID, we're going to help you through it. It's most likely not going to be that horrible, but that does not mean you should be cavalier about this. Let's continue, New Jersey, to wear our masks, to wash our hands all the time, to avoid crowds. And those are the ways that we're going to stay healthy and get through this pandemic. So we at Progressive Pediatrics in Union City are there 7 days a week and in Bayonne 5 days a week to help answer your questions, do televisits, do in-person visits, whatever you need us for. Have a great weekend and call us when you need. Bye-bye.